Greetings. Welcome to this edition of At the Mic, the Thursday deep dive. I am so looking forward to today's show with Benjamin Flensborg. We're going to talk about old world folklore. It's going to be fun. So hang on a second. Before we go any further, though, I do want to mention I've talked in the past how my life is just a series of Post-it notes. And I was keeping upcoming guests on it. I mean, this is a professional operation here. Okay. Well, so I consolidated. Now this is dangerous. I consolidated to one, oversized note card, and I told myself just take pictures of it periodically in case you lose it. Well, I actually did lose it. That's not a joke, and I couldn't find it for the better part of a couple of days here, but I did find it. So now I know who my guests are coming up. See, one side's got the third. I told you, I am the least organized person in the world. Thursday on one side, Friday on the other. So we meet here, you and I, every Thursday and Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to get to today's episode here momentarily. Just so you know that tomorrow, I got to flip it over. Chef Andrew Gruel and Mercury One, JP Decker, that's Glenn Beck's charity. Those are my guests for the Friday Fun stream. Lots of animal videos in store and a lot of food talk. I pulled some food stories for Andrew. I know that. Do you remember Hot News Natalie from Chad Prather? She's going to be here next Friday on the Friday live stream. And then we got an FBI themed Friday live stream on August 16th with Steve Friend and Garrett O'Boyle, two FBI whistleblowers. Going to have some fun here. I told them that they can't wear sunglasses, and I mean they can stay armed. Just that we want to be able to see their faces. Let's see here. So next week at this time on the Thursday live deep dive there, we're going to talk about central bank digital currency with digital. Listen to me. That's enough. That's enough. Looking ahead. So hey, I got a busy few weeks ahead, and I hope that you will join us. Without further delay, however, I'm going to bring to the stage Benjamin Flensborg. Just an awesome guy. A great follow on Twitter if you can find him, brother. How many accounts have they taken from you?
This will be your fourth.
So hold on a second. I forgot to catch this before we got started here. I don't know if I can edit it. Do you want me to put your latest Twitter handle on the screen? Because I know it's changed.
It doesn't matter. It'll probably be nuked again. I don't know.
It's JEFFERS, and then I don't know the number. Jeffers.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know. I don't care.
Well, anyway, it's posted on my Twitter account associated with this show, so please go and look for that and follow him. Just a character, and I know that you're someone who absolutely loves history over there in Denmark, and I know you and I were talking off the air. I mean, it was just amazing. You grew up in a house. The foundation was built in the 1100s. That is stunning. It is such a cool fact, man. My goodness, how cool is that? You love history. Did it start because of just you were surrounded by it as a kid?
No, not really. Then my family would have been interested. They weren't. I'm the only one.
Okay.
I'm the black sheep of the family.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to let you get away with saying that you're not a big fan of history, because I know you did a lot of research for today's conversation. You told me some of it. Why don't you explain to us, before we get into our topics of werewolves and fairies and other things that have been passed down through generations, as we try to determine if they existed, if they still exist, what the whole story is on that. Why don't you explain some of the trials you went through in trying to get at this information for us? Because I know that there were some ancient libraries involved. Fascinating stuff that you went through, man.
Yeah, well, I went to the Aarhus State Library, which is one of the two royal libraries in Denmark. It contains some very, very rare texts and books. It's one of the Danish Royal Library is one of the most spectacular in Europe. It survived a lot, and well, because you aren't actually allowed to take pictures inside, I brought in a second phone. I hid in my pants, and I had the other one, where it was clearly visible, and I thought, yeah, they're going to let me in. No, no. They have electric
This is the
tracking
Danish
devices.
Sandy Berger here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're familiar with the former Clinton staff
Yeah,
member who
yeah, oh
tried to
yeah.
similar.
Yeah. But it's easier to smuggle something out of the White House than it is to smuggle
Yeah.
something in to it.
Right.
And
Okay.
yeah,
Now you had
uh,
books that you were going through documents that go back to the 1200s, right?
oh yeah. Some German texts, which are impossible to read because they're an old High German, which is I know High German, but old High German is very hard for me to read. I have problems enough as it is reading Old Norse, and so
You and me both,
and
brother.
it's
You and me both.
and but
How many
Old Norse at
languages can
least.
you understand?
Well, I can understand Old Norse. I can't speak it. Old High German, on the other hand, is very difficult. Old Low German, I can understand. Old Low German, that's basically Anglic or Saxon, which is basically the same as my local dialect, Jutlandic. So they are pretty close. We still
Okay.
contain many of the same words we use every day. The grammatic structure is almost identical. Um, but unlike German, who moved towards three word genders, Danish and English, well, not Danish, but Jutlandic, moved towards one gender. So Jutlandic now and English now only have one word gender. So they're related in that regard. So,
Okay. All
and
right.
many of
Well,
the words are basically the same.
and describe what kind of these libraries like. What's the setting in there? I don't know. I'm trying to imagine what it looked like in there for you when you were going after all this info.
Well, you hand in your IDs at the desk, and then you sign in. You have to sign for me, and then you get taken to a lift that goes downstairs. I don't know how many floors, 2, 3, or something like that. Then you get down. You get to a vault. There are 2 guards waiting for you,
Oh man.
and they will check you. They use this, and that's where I failed. I failed.
So they
And
found the phone.
oh yeah, and then they did a full body search just to make sure I wasn't
Oh.
trying to steal anything. People have been known, especially in Paris. That's been some great cases of people, tearing out pages of books.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, they did. If you take a string, put it in your mouth, your saliva is acidic to old. What do you call it? Vellum? No, vellum. Pergament, whatever. And you can put it in, and you just leave it, and you flip on, and it will tear up. You can tear the page apart.
Oh my
It's happened before.
gosh.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
what
I
are
know
they
it's happened
taking
before.
that they just have to have? I'm sure it's, different things, but
No, it's not. It's not for them. It's for the black market. It's a
okay, yeah.
common known
All right.
thing. Yeah, it's a common known
Okay.
thing.
I got you. All right. Well, where do you want to take us today? I know we've got a lot of topics that we need to cover. Old world folklore. Benjamin Flensborg, my guest. You can follow him on Twitter at JEFFERS, and then a bunch of numbers that neither he nor I can remember off the top of our head. So if somebody wants to post that in the chat there, please go for it, because he's an excellent follow and just a great guy to have on board with us here today. So are we starting with werewolves? Is that where we're going first, Ben?
Yeah, we're going back to the origin of the Indo-European people, which is the language and culture I think all in the chat shares, most of us. If not, I'm sorry. The Yamnaya culture, we go back 5,300 years at least. That's what we know archaeologically. It may go back even further. They were a pastoralist people who lived on the steppes between what is now Ukraine and southern Russia, the northern Caucasus, all the way up to the Ural Mountains, a vast area. It's the steppe. It's called the Black Earth. It's a very rich agricultural land, and but they didn't farm. They were horse people. A lot of people were horse people back then. But what set us apart was that we invented the wheel. And we did a lot of trade, with the surrounding tribes. And at some point, we ended up splitting up. The western part went into Europe and down into Anatolia. I'm showing this wrong. It should be the other way. Anyway,
I know it'd be impossible to be a TV weatherman. Am I right?
I couldn't. I'll start crying. But if you were now, if you and then the rest of the tribe went down into Iran, Armenia, and into India, which is why it's called Indo-European. It's sort of in the word. These people had a common culture, common language. It's sort of split up into all the languages we now speak, but they all share the same culture and still lives on. That's the funny bit about it. Of course, they ran into the original culture here in Europe, the original human beings here, which there's only one left, by the way. It's Basque. They speak the original language that was spoken here in Europe.
Wow.
Yeah. They have completely different myths than we do. But of course, they rub off on us. So we share some of their myths. All things maritime related, we learn from them. Those words are not Indo-European. That's why they sound the same in almost every Indo-European language, because we took those words from them. Mm-hmm. The myths, however, come from the Yamnaya. Lived in pretty large villages, but they were pastoralists. They didn't have a surplus food production like farmers had. So when they had too many young men in the village, they would send them out. Just send them out of the village into the forest. And there they would gather up with other young men from other villages, and they would live in the wild for perhaps many years before they were ready to get married. And those men were called werewolves because they were wild. If you had to survive back then in the wild, you had to get wild. That's sort of the foundation myth we have of them.
Okay.
And that's the interesting thing. Now, this survived for many, many generations, thousands of years. And Europe was a wild place back then. It still is to some degree when you get up in the mountains or in the big woods in Poland or Belarus. In Russia, for sure, it's a endless forests, just like in Scandinavia, endless forests and mountains. And if you ever meet a wolf in real life, you know what I mean. It's a Newfoundland of size. Bad terrier. And so now we're going back to the sources that we actually have written down. We're talking about the wolf pack in Paris. This is a written down tale. We know this for sure because we have several written sources about it. So as someone who's interested in history, you need more sources than just one, because that could be hearsay. If you have several sources over a bigger geographical area, there's something in it. Now, in 1450, this is the end of the 100 Years' War between England and France. France was winning, by the way. They had pushed the English almost out. So they won.
Oh. Uh-oh. Hang on. We were
Yeah.
just getting... There we go. 1415. All right. Pushing the English out. I got it.
Yeah. And they weren't taking care of their fortifications. So there was a breach in one of the walls into Paris. The walls were built 200 years before by Philip Auguste. And they hadn't been maintained because the English were no longer a threat. Otherwise, Paris was impenetrable. So there was a hole there. Then there was this very harsh winter, one of the harshest ever experienced in Europe. And wolves, they don't normally go hunting for humans because we're bothersome to hunt because we're
bothersome to hunt.
yeah, we are. If they find us alone in the middle of the forest, of course they'll take us out. But normally they'll go for something easier, like a sheep in a field. But
they won't come in after a big city where they're all the humans are kind
of. No. They don't like loud noises, and they I know because we have wild wolves around here. I thought we were supposed to have eradicated them in 1875. Apparently we didn't. They're still here.
Wow.
They're very, very majestic animals, but just stay away from them. Leave them alone, they leave us alone. But this winter was so harsh, there was nothing to eat. All husbandry was put into stables, because they would die outside. So what they did was, when you become desperate enough, right? Like the guys who crashed in the Andes, you get desperate enough. You will risk everything. So they search around the walls in Paris because that's a lot of people. It's almost like a sandwich package, right? And
sitting ducks.
Yeah, exactly. And they weren't expecting it because nobody expects the wolf coming through the walls, but they didn't know about the hole in the wall. So the wolf pack went in. It had a very clever pack leader. We don't know if it was a man or a woman. The name was, let me see here. What was the name?
So we don't know if it was a male or a female wolf, or were these werewolves?
No, we don't know we don't know if the pack leader was female or male.
Okay.
But it most probably would be a female because she was thinking about her cubs. And females tend to get very aggressive when it comes to their cubs. The French named her Coutard. I'm not good at French. Coutard.
Me either.
Which means, court means short and tort means tail. So it means short tail or bobtail, whatever you want to call it. And she managed to get her pack in for at least, it was over a week or something like that. They killed 40 people, dragged them out.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah, and 40 people, that's noted in the Parisian logs in the churches, by the way. Then the Parisians found out where the hole was, so they lured her in with meat. They lured them into what is called Ile de la Cité. If you know Paris, in the middle of the Seine, there is an island. That's where the original Paris was. The Roman Paris, the Celtic Paris, it was there. So they lured them across the bridge, blocked the bridge, lured them in front of the Cathedral of Notre Dame, the one that burned down. And they stoned them and they speared them in front of the Notre Dame.
Wow.
And there still is a rendering in one of the side churches on the floor. I couldn't find a picture in the floor that honor the wolves because they honored them. They were smart enough, so that's what they did. Now the French took this tradition, which is ingrained into their mind at this point, because it was mostly Frenchmen from Paris who left for the French colonies. The French weren't very keen on going to America. Let that be known.
Okay.
Yeah. So when they founded Canada and later New Orleans, it was all one big slice of land before the English and Spanish divided it. But it went all the way up from Newfoundland all the way down to Mississippi. That was all French. That's why it's called Illinois or Illinois, and it's not called Detroit. It's called Detroit, and all the way down. And you see, the Canadians and the Cajuns have the same belief system in this regard, because the Cajuns mixed up. They came from Acadia, which is in Canada, and they share the same folklore. They share the same tales, and it's they call it the loup-garou, which means it means wolf, werewolf. Garou is a derivation from Old Frankish, which is a Germanic language. Garou comes from Werwolf, which is werewolf, almost the same as in Danish, Werwolf, and it comes from that. But when the English took over French Canada, they thought that the Acadians, who lived on the Atlantic coast, they thought they may be a fifth column, So they deported them all. A lot of them died. It was practically a genocide. But they settled them down in the bayou in Louisiana, and they brought this legend with them. And they shared it with those Frenchmen who were already there. So down there it became loup-garou, because languages changed. They have an evolution just like anything else. Instead of loup-garou, it became rougarou, which means exactly the same, but it's not. But that's in Louisiana. That's in Louisiana. Now we're down in Louisiana. And there, of course, they mingle with the Indians, which of course you do. You're not that many.
Which of course, I mean.
Yeah. And the French never had this problem with mixing with others. So no, that's a very English thing, keep separate. The French are like, yeah,
c'est la vie.
Yeah. So the legend mixed with the Wendigo. Now, I think if you can put up that picture from Mardi Gras.
Yeah, stand by.
So the French myth mixed with the Wendigo myth from the local Indians.
Wow.
There we go.
I love how he's burning one. He's got a cigarette.
He doesn't give a shit. It's Louisiana. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Got a beer in his hand. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we looking at here? Is Mardi Gras?
Yeah, that's a Mardi Gras costume. That's the rougarou.
Okay.
It's mixed with the Wendigo, if you see it, or Wendigo. I don't know how you say it. But it is the Wolfman. Technically, so we share that common thing.
So at what point did this become, it's a bunch of wolves and now it's wolf men? You see what I mean? Like, is there a hybrid happening there, or what? What am I missing?
Them, like I told you from the beginning, the Yamnaya culture, they sent out their men. They became wolfmen.
I see.
So that's an old concept. That's an old concept. Right. It's they had a shamanistic belief in things that you could become something.
Okay, I got you.
That sort of moved over into folklore. Now, there are some differences between European werewolves and the Louisiana French werewolf, or the Canadian French werewolf, for that matter. It is that now someone from Louisiana will probably tell me in the chat that every single little town perhaps every house, every family has a different tale of how you become one. But these are the general things I found out. That
Okay,
they
so
were
this is
created by,
how you become a werewolf. This will be good. Okay.
yes, you would be cursed by a witch.
Okay. All right.
And you would have to bear that, let me see, you would have to bear that curse for 101 days.
Oddly
Until,
specific.
yeah, but then again, we like numbers. It's like 3, 7, 9, you know. Until you drank human blood, then the curse would be
Oh,
lifted from you and given to another person.
that almost sounds like a vampire situation happening there.
Yeah. Werewolves and vampires share a lot. They do share a lot. They share a lot with draugr as well. We'll get to that. Now, there are ways to protect yourself against the rougarou, which is a normal person. It could be anyone in your. It could be your family, your closest friends, your pastor. No one knows, because it's only at full moon it comes out, right?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Now, how did that get mixed into the whole tale?
Nah, but it's because wolves howl at the moon, like the.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I
Yeah.
should have seen that one. Yeah, my bad.
Well, if you want, hey, if anyone in the chat or you want to see what a rougarou would be like in reality, there is
How do you spell that?
ROU.
Okay.
GARU. Rougarou.
Okay. I got you.
Or you can just, or you can spell it in the.
That is definitely that's definitely some unpleasantries happening there with that image.
Yeah.
I mean, that looks like your stereotypical werewolf here. I'm going to put it on the screen so everyone can see this. Yeah. Anyway, continue, please.
No, it's fine. If anyone in the chat or you want to, there is a series called Supernatural. You probably know it.
My daughters are quite familiar with Supernatural.
All right, that's good.
They're not happy that I have only watched one episode.
Well, if you want to watch the rougarou, watch season 4, episode 4. Write that down.
I'm doing it. They're gonna be stunned. Y'all. Let's sit around. I want to see season 4, episode 4 with the rougarou on Supernatural. Okay.
Exactly. When you first give in to bloodlust, then you turn. Now, the ways this reminds us of vampires is because they can actually spread it without giving up their curse, and that goes looking directly into your eyes at night. They don't even have to bite you, just staring straight into your eyes.
Moving notes. Seems a little. That's risky.
That's
a high risk situation.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. You won't go on a date with one, did you? Would you? There is an author, a French-Canadian author called Honoré Beaugrand. In his, there is a classic, let me see here, classic French-Canadian folk tales, volume 1. You will find the story The Werewolf. You'll get a French-Canadian view on that one. If you want to write that down, you can do it. It's Honoré Beaugrand. I'll put it in the chat.
That's good.
Honoré.
Yeah. Do that for us. So, yeah. All right. Well, so now you were talking about how, it was basically French America and French North America, all the way, down the coast, all the way over to the Mississippi River, Louisiana. Am I jumping the gun on this weird statue thing in New Orleans?
No.
That's kind of creepy.
It is creepy. It's very creepy.
So hold on. Tell me the story on this. Is this what I'm about to put on the screen here? Is this in a museum in New Orleans or something, or what do we got here?
Yeah, it's sort of a museum of. Oh my God, I got a fly in my drink. Get the fuck out.
That sucks.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, I would move on from that.
This is in the.
You know what that fly lands on, right?
Oh yeah, I know. But
I mean, we'll wait while you get another drink. But anyway, continue.
yeah, well,
I just feel
I'll
bad for you.
just put my water aside here and
Okay. I just didn't want you to
take
feel
a
like you were
glass.
stuck in front of the camera, like, oh my gosh, I've got this fly infested drink. I just didn't, I want you to have freedom of movement, is all I was getting at there. So, anyway, be
Oh, that's
careful
good.
because those
We are
things
going
land
to
on
try
napkins.
this South African silver boom. Very nice.
Bring it.
Well, the damn tongue's gone dry on me. Damn.
All of my spirits are out of reach.
Oh! That'll put half on your
Well,
chin.
we might be getting some interesting tales now from Ben. That's for sure.
God, yeah.
With
Exactly.
with what he just on the intake there. Okay, so all right, we're in New Orleans now, and what's happening down there with the French settlers and everything?
Now, the French settlers originally didn't have much contact with Canada. Canada. They didn't actually communicate much. They created two separate cultures. But it turns out they had exactly the same story about the werewolf.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's very interesting. And they were separated for hundreds of years, by the way. Now, after the English took over French Canada in the same war, the Spanish came in, took all the Mississippi territory. It all became part of New Spain. Now, the funny thing is, the New Orleans you see today, the Old Town, which is famous, all think about Old Town, Bourbon Street, and all that. They think, oh my God, that's French. No, it's not. It was built by the Spanish, by the way. And
wow, yeah, I would never have thought that.
No, but it was because it was handed over to the Spanish. Now the French got it back just in time to sell it to Jefferson.
Right, that's right. Because Spain, yeah, that's okay. Yeah. They only had it for 5 minutes there, France, right?
Yeah, Spain kept Florida, but
yeah. So Spain basically controlled New Orleans, right, and the whole port there. And so when Napoleon sold it to Jefferson, that they had just had it for barely any time at all. Yeah, that's right. Okay, interesting. Yeah,
they had it for like what,
an hour,
2-3 years or something like that.
Handed it over. They were like, "Oh, we're flipping this house to America."
Yeah, and Napoleon, he knew what he was doing. He was like, "We can't defend this.
Well,
if when the English go after us." So he was like, "Oh, fuck the English. We're going to give it to the Americans for nothing." So that's what he did. It was sort of, fuck you. Fuck you, England.
All right.
And so he did that.
Okay.
But anyway, this story continues to this day. Now, of course, it has become more of a...
That's a lot going on in New Orleans, I'll tell you. I didn't realize all the werewolf talk that had been happening for hundreds of years. You mix that with voodoo, man, that is one interesting town there, New Orleans, Louisiana.
And vampires, but that's a completely different story. We don't have time to delve into vampires.
All right, next time.
But they're basically the same.
Okay.
Except that werewolves are actually living human beings. Vampires are the undead.
Wait, say that again. So werewolves live in human beings.
They are living human beings.
Oh, living human beings. Okay.
Yeah.
That are cursed.
Yeah.
And then you've got the vampires who are undead.
They're undead. They're animated corpses, basically.
Yeah. I mean, this sounds like this could make a heck of a like a teen flick. Maybe we call it Twilight.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah. If only.
Somebody write that down. That's $1 million idea.
Oh God, right that's $1 million sell right now. Now that moves us straight into draugr, which is the Scandinavian inanimate.
Let me catch
up. An animated corpse, and there are different kinds of draugr.
Oh, that's creepy. I don't like that.
Yeah,
And how do you
There we
pronounce
go.
that? Draugr?
Draugr.
Draugr.
Draugr. Draugr. We have the same word today in Danish and Swedish. In Norway, it still contains the same meaning because they live close to the sea. They see what we call beach washers, dead people from the sea that wash in over the coast. They call them draugr because they died unfairly. But in Denmark, we say draug. Nowadays, it means someone lazy, someone who won't get up, someone who won't do his job. So there are some meanings still left in that word, by the way.
Okay.
The Swedish call it draug. I hate Swedish.
You gotta love intra-European battles.
Oh. Denmark and Sweden has been at war for more than 1,000 years straight. It's only the last few years we've actually sort of stopped not hating each other so much.
You have to let some of that go.
Okay. Yeah, sure. And now there are two kind of draugrs. Okay. They are the draugr as this man is seen on the screen. Then there are the barrow dwellers. Now, a draugr can get out of his grave. He will go and hunt humans. A barrow dweller or hukbui, the English call it a shack boy. Okay. Don't put too much into that one. Then there is a third option, but that could go for both of them. It's called in Old Norse, it's called the afterganger, which means the again walker. But the hukbui, the barrow dweller, he can't leave his tomb. Only the draugr can. Now,
there's a lot of rules.
Yeah. It is. It's a very complicated story, this one. They live in graves, of course.
Of course.
Or royal palaces. They're guarding their treasure. What the grave goods they were buried with. They guard that. In more modern English term, you'll call them a revenant, if you know what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a corporeal body. They're just not alive. And this is something different. In Grettis Saga, you can put that up.
Oh, okay, that's right. I got that picture. That's my cue. Sorry. I'm not good with these cues, Benjamin. Ask Ed McKee.
We're doing fine. We're doing absolutely fine.
All right, here we go.
In the Grettis Saga, which is part of the family sagas.
By the way, I love that weapon. I need one of those. I need to keep one of those in my truck for rush hour traffic.
Whew. Oh, yeah.
Right? Look at that thing. Man, I need that. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
You can get straight through a queue in the supermarket with one of those.
Look out.
Now,
what's this? It's 10 items or less? I got 20 items. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't give a shit.
21.
I don't give
okay,
a
continue.
Shit.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Now I have to put up this page because I can't remember all of the details. Now, in the Grettis Saga, it says here, any mean, nasty, or greedy person can become a draugr. And the draugr's motivation was primarily envy and greed. Greed causes it to viciously attack any would-be grave robbers. But the draugr also expresses an innate envy of the living, stemming from a longing for the things of life, which is what it once had. They also exhibit an immense and nearly insatiable appetite, as shown in the encounter of Aran and Asmund, sword brothers who made an oath that if one should die, the other would sit vigil with him for 3 days inside the burial mound. When Aran died, Asmund brought his own possessions into the barrow, banners, armor, hawk, hound, and horse, then set himself to wait the 3 days. Then During the first night, Aaron got up from his chair and killed the hawk and hound and ate them. On the second night, he got up again from his chair and killed the horse and tore it into pieces. Then he took great bite at the horse flesh with his teeth, the blood streaming down from his mouth, all the while he was eating. The third night, Asford became very drowsy, and the first thing he knew, Aaron had got him by the ears and tore them off.
Oh.
Now that's saga. That's what we read as kids. Good stuff.
Boy, you Scandinavian types with your bedtime stories.
Yeah, well, have you ever read Little Red Riding Hood in its original form? She dies. She gets eaten. Yeah. Now here's more from Gretti's saga. The draugur's victims were not limited to trespassers in its home. The roaming undead devastated livestock by running the animals to death, either by riding them or pursuing them in some hideous half-flayed form. Shepherds' duties kept them outdoors at night, and they were particular targets for the hunger and hatred of the undead. Now here's from the saga. The oxen which had been used to haul Thorolf's body were ridden to death by demons, and every single beast that came near his grave went raving mad and howled itself to death. The shepherd at Wham often came racing home with Thorolf after him. One day that fall, neither sheep nor shepherd came back to the farm. So, yeah. These are
happy tales, huh?
Good. Yeah,
what's this? What's the female version of this that I've got over here? Is it not time to put that one up here? Because
that's the Laxdæla saga.
Okay, so she's
they are part of the family sagas.
I got you. Okay, I got you. All right, very good. There we go. Boom. See that? Okay, how do you pronounce that AE thing happening there? That looks like you're trying to cram two letters into one. A.
Oh, it's the same word they have in Old English. A.
A. Yeah.
It's an A. Yeah. Laxdæla. Now C. This is interesting because Laxdæla saga, they sort of flesh the draugr more out, and these are the only written sources we have. Of course, there are folk tales, right? Now, in British folklore, they were seen differently, but they are basically the same. We share culture and history. The superhuman strength is sort of put down there. They are black-blue in color because they're sort of dead, and they reek of decay. Yeah, and they can spread like vampires. There's actually a thing here where, let me see, that recorded from Trøndelag. No, that's not one. Oh, no, I lost it.
Well, you can post it under this tweet later. Underneath this.
Yeah, we'll find out.
If you got anything good or something you want me to put on the YouTube description.
Oh yeah. No, that's fine. Just look up draugr. There are plenty of books on the subject.
Oh yeah. And you got to give me the spelling though, because I'm not going to know that. How do you spell it?
Let me put it in. Yeah.
I know I'm high maintenance, Benjamin. I just want to make sure that I'm looking this stuff up and not on a wild goose chase later. Tauga.
There we go.
What do you got? What's the spelling? Tauga. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about something else. I had that up on the screen earlier. My bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't follow the Danish twang,
Well, the closest thing we come to draugr in modern day storytelling, which we'll get to later, hopefully, are the zombie series. Zombies are very popular.
Okay.
But draugrs are highly intelligent, very dangerous. Now there is an old story, and this is also in the Laxdæla saga. A woman was wronged when she was dead, before she died, and she came back out of her grave, walked into the house, naked by the way, and cooked them dinner, served it all. And when they thanked her, she was like, "All right, I'm done." Then she went out, went back to her
What?
grave, never saw her again.
These stories, I swear, they are something else.
Good fun.
Good fun. All right, so are we on to fairies now, or where are we?
Well, I wanted to talk about modern day burial rituals, if it's
Okay.
all right. Just to has to do with the draugr. You see, in Denmark, we still uphold the old tradition that a person must leave with his feet first.
What do you mean? Must leave with his feet first.
You have to turn the coffin so the feet goes out first.
Wow.
It's to trigger it if it becomes a draugr. It's still very important to us. Really? It's also said that if you sit up dying, you may become a draugr. If you stand up dying, like being shot, you may become a draugr. In Iceland, they have a different version of it, where they will create what is called a false door. They will tear down a part of the wall because they have wooden houses. We don't. And they will tear down a part of the wall, then they will carry the dead person out that and rebuild it. That way, the draugr can find a way in. Now, if you were so unlucky to have a draugr come at your door, they will knock. They're very polite, by the way. And you can have conversations with them. They won't kill you.
Oh.
They won't, but they will stamp on you. They will stamp on your roof so you can't sleep until you get outside. When you get outside, they'll kill you. But hey, that's a tale for another day.
You just told me they were going to kill you, and then you set me up there. I was getting comfortable with the draugr.
Yeah, well, they'll knock on your door. Once they know you're in, they'll just
and this is still important, with burial stuff today, huh?
Yeah, it's still ritual.
Incredible.
Yeah, it keeps hanging on.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've done the corporeal entities. Let's go to the pure spiritual entities.
Okay, fairies, now we're going to the spirit realm with fairies. Okay.
Fairies and elves.
All right,
they are the same thing.
So you want me to
put the nice fairy on.
Look at that. I mean, that's a lovely picture of a fairy. So how tall is she?
That depends how she wants to present herself. Since they have no corporeal body, they can present as whatever you like them to.
Okay.
Or they want to show you. They don't have a physical body. They are pretty much like demons in Christianity. They can present themselves as everything. They normally present themselves as very handsome. Now they live. The fairy and elven mythology is very different because they are spiritual beings, pure spirit. They don't have any corporeal form. Now they live in a separate universe or a parallel universe. Why I tend to refer to them as extra dimension, in another dimension. You can be lured into their universe, which will look exactly like this world, but everyone in it will be a fairy or an elf. You see,
is that a good thing? Because fairies, I mean, we always hear about fairies.
That's a very bad thing.
So wait a minute, we always hear about Tinkerbell and the stereotypical
but that came about in the Victorian age. It's a romanticized version, and Disney sure made it.
Why did they do that? Why did they change what a fairy is known as?
Yeah, because the Victorian era, they wanted things to be nice. They put little pictures of crying babies on walls. I mean, they wanted things to be nice. They need to get away and need to get away from the heathen ways, Now,
so we're looking at very fairy right there, but again, to recap, they don't have bodies. That's a spiritual being there, and it just
pure spirit, yeah.
Okay, so all right, could you touch those wings there, or you know what I'm saying, like?
No, they're real enough. To you and me, they're completely real.
Oh, I see.
They just choose to show themselves like this.
Okay.
Now, if you were to anger a fairy,
Yeah.
they are often oh god, they are often accused of enter the dreams of the living, like an incubus or succubus. Yeah,
Oh yeah. I know
they can
that.
see the future.
Oh, see, that's not
That's why.
fighting fair. That's not fighting fair.
No, it's not.
How far in the
And
future
they
can they see?
it doesn't say in the law.
Okay.
It's just that they can see future. They can control weather,
What?
and of course, yeah, and they can shapeshift, of course. Now, these are oh,
How far back these stories go on fairies?
now fairies, as we know them in Europe, is a mixture of Celtic and Roman myth. It's the Roman nymph who would lure men into the water. You know,
Hmm.
they would do them until they got so tired that the nymphs would drown them and drag them back into their realm. Much like,
Benjamin's got just a way of painting a picture. They would do them until they
yeah,
were so tired.
yeah, but they could look very handsome, so very pretty ladies.
Okay.
Now,
All right, so that's where that word comes from. The nymph, the little sea
yeah,
nymph or whatever.
nymphomaniac, yeah.
Nymphomaniac. Thank you. Yes, very interesting. Okay, so we got the fairy here. You're saying that individual we're looking at doesn't really look like that.
No.
Hmm.
If you were to anger a fairy, it would be the next picture. Because then
Okay, see, that's what I was concerned about. So you're saying that this picture right here is more, I guess, representative of what a fairy actually looks like, huh?
yeah, if you were to anger them. Yeah.
Okay, well, all right. So if you stay in their good graces, then they look like the hottie with the wings walking through the building.
Now
If you upset them,
some people in the chat, if they are from Ohio, would know this as the Mothman.
oh, Mothman, yeah, okay. We're gonna have to do an episode on Mothman. By the way, I've got a plan. I've got a guest. Somebody came to me with a really knowledgeable guest for Mothman, and I need to contact this person for a future
You
episode.
should.
Anyway,
You absolutely should, Keith. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fascinating subject. Now, fairies, before they were known as nice little Tinkerbells, people were most afraid of them for kidnapping their children and changing them. That's why it's called a changeling.
Oh no!
Yeah, they would kidnap children and bring them into the fairy realm. Why? We don't know their motives. We don't know. We've never known their motives. Now they could bring disease. Often, the most often cited fairy-induced disease is a stroke.
Oh,
it's called getting touched by a fairy, and a very evil thing. Now, see, they are elves. In
okay. I'm glad you brought that up.
Elves.
Okay, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I don't spend a lot of time, admittedly, thinking what's the difference between fairy and an elf and all this stuff and goblin stuff. And I appreciate you going down this road because when you were talking about the fairies, I was thinking elves. What's the difference?
Yeah, well, technically there isn't any difference. They're exactly the same. They're pure spiritual beings. They just have a different, tweak the lore a bit. They're basically the same. Yeah, they're basically the same. You see, England was occupied by the Romans, so they got the nymph myth in. Scandinavia was never. Yeah,
that's a good.
The Scandinavia was never occupied by the Romans, so we don't have the nymph myth. We have the elven myth. Now you see, there is also a romantic aspect to the elf. You see Lord of the Rings. You know what I'm talking.
Yeah. Okay.
These ethereal beings who are so very clever, good, and live forever. Now, in Scandinavian mythology, they are not very nice people or beings. They do exactly the same as fairies. There is an old saying that one of our oldest reigning kings, Christian IV, the same guy who had the shrapnel in his eye made into jewelry for his queen, that he was taken down to the elven realm. And
Oh,
he,
wait, hold on a second. We got a couple stories here with the same individual here. So tell the story about an elf took him, but we got to go back to that jewelry eye.
yeah. Well, he was in a battle against the Swedes at Kolberger Heide. That's northern Germany today.
Okay.
Back then it was Denmark. But he was in a battle with the Swedes. He was on the Danish flagship, giant war cruiser, and it got hit straight across the deck by a Swedish cannonball. It splintered. He got shrapnel in his right eye. Yeah, right eye. You can still see his bloody uniform. It's at Frederiksborg Castle. It's still there. So he.
What year was this?
It's the 16 something.
Okay,
Don't get me started.
No,
I don't
no.
remember the exact date.
That's
There's
cool.
so many
I'm
days with this king. They had to remove his eye. When they removed his eye, he asked them to take out the shrapnel, and he had fancied little earrings with shrapnel, for the queen she could wear for balls.
Wonder how she liked that.
I think she was very proud.
That's incredible.
At least he didn't give them to his mistresses.
Okay, so this guy got dragged down where by an elf?
It was said he was dragged down to the elven world, and he got lost for 40 years, and for him it was only a day.
And where is this elven world? Like, is it a physical place, or is it in the spiritual realm?
It's another dimension. Again, that's why I call them extra dimensional. They share that with the fairies. Now, why they do it, we don't know. It's the same with alien abductions. Why, we don't. Why people lose sitting in a car, they lose hours. We don't know. So this is interesting because I actually believe there are extra dimensional beings. They're out there. Ask anyone who've had a ghost experience.
Yeah.
I mean, ghosts are normally dead relatives who come look after you. Now, there are different kinds of ghosts.
Yeah. I mean, we had Tom Carr on a couple months ago.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
There are different kinds of ghosts. Now, if you want to show the elven picture, you can see even back then, they are portrayed as pure energy. They're spirits. They don't have any physical body. Okay. It's very interesting. These are pictures from a Swedish artist from the 1800s.
This one right here, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, they're based on folk tales. This is called the Elven Dance. They start out like this. It could be the morning dew, morning fog. But to people back then, this would have been elven dancing. And then you knew not to go there. Because else, they may be very beautiful. You can click to the next picture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They may be extremely beautiful, both the men and the women. They will seduce you. There is a Danish saying, they have a hollow back, which means they are completely empty inside.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know some people like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. We all do. But you see that? He gets seduced.
Let me zoom in on that real quick, because that's there's a lot of detail with this painting here.
Oh, yeah.
Let's zoom right in there. Look at that. So he's sleeping. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then these chicks are hanging out, trying to seduce him, or take him away, or where are we going with this?
They will
Where are
seduce him, but we
Okay.
can't show that because this is from the Victorian era, you know. So today this would have been more of a grown-up Jeffy kind of picture, all right? But
Okay.
they will seduce him and they will drag him down to their realm or into the other realm. Now, why they do that, we don't know. Some people never return, some return.
How did the guy with the shrapnel in his eye making the jewelry for the queen? How did he get back? Do we know? Did he have to fight his way out, or is it just?
No, I think they realized he was a king.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
Yeah, you can't just remove a king from his kingdom. You have civil war, and then they will have no place to seduce people. So back then, things were more simple.
So you're saying that these stories today are kind of the same family of the alien abduction stuff that happens today?
I think they're related. Yeah, I really do. There is an interesting documentary from Mr. Mythos, where he talks about alien abductions and why they all seem to be completely different sizes and shapes, and some are dressed completely like human shapeshifters, to say, like elves and fairies. And they contact us. We don't know why. They abduct
and we've got
us.
the Greys are like evil aliens, right?
Yeah, but they're all evil and good at the same time. It's we can't assign motive to them because their motives aren't human. So it's it's complicated. When you get into the folklore, you'll see that there's a lot of strange things going on there. Now,
so this has all been Europe, Euro focused, right? But I would imagine that if you go to different continents, different parts of the world, maybe they all have, I guess, similar stories or creatures, or are they completely different? Any idea? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot and have you comment on, Australian folklore, but I'm just curious if they're connected.
These are very, very not Eurocentric, but Indo-European centric.
Right. Okay.
That's something we share. That's why they want to ruin it. Of course, that's why they want to make the elves black. Have you noticed?
No, I haven't.
Oh God! Thank God you haven't seen the Rings of Power, because that will give you a stroke. Speaking of fairies, by the way. But now, in the old days, to protect your child, you would put iron shears or scissors in the crypt with the kid. So
what is happening? You would put what in the crypt? After the kid is dead.
No, after it's been born.
Okay.
If you were afraid, if you lived near what's called a fairy fort, which is a dense piece of woodland, that's called a fairy fort. In Denmark, it's the Elven Hills. You stay away from them. They are old burial mounds from the Stone Age, but that doesn't matter right now. People feared them, and they were afraid that a fairy would come by and do a changeling.
Oh, snap!
Like a cuckoo, Cuckoo.
So, how far back do these stories go back? Like where did they originate? Because you had, with the werewolves, you talked about what year was the Paris attack? That era.
That was 1450.
1450. So when did the draugr and the fairies come along, and the elves and all that stuff? I don't want to put you on the spot.
We don't know how far back they go.
Yeah.
We know we had a very strong oral tradition, much like Homer, the Odyssey, the Iliad.
Yeah,
they were told and retold for centuries without being written down. And they turn out to be pretty accurate historically when you see at the siege of Troy and so on. They managed to find Troy. I mean, so that's pretty good. And they found Agamemnon's palace, Nestor's palace. Now, we don't know how far they go back. They probably go as far back as humans do. There is a reason we tell these stories, mainly because there's a grain of truth in. They are moral lessons nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are moral lessons we tell our kids, but they go way back. Now, you can look into the Bible. Some of the texts are extremely.
I was just thinking this. Yeah, go ahead.
You see the same. You see the same pattern now. These are moral tales, but when you read them allegorically, they become moral tales. But if you read them, literally, it's a quite different story. Quite different story. So again, it's up to interpretation.
I gotcha.
Not the judge.
That's good stuff,
I'm not
man.
the judge. I'm not the judge of it.
I love the fact that you went to these ancient libraries and had to wear white gloves to prepare for an At the Mic episode. I don't know that anyone has ever. That may be a first for us. And I appreciate
but you need to get to the source material because much of it isn't available online. You need to go to the research library. So.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but they can't copy it. They can't put it online. It will ruin the pages because they're so old, and there may be just 2 copies left in the world, and they won't risk it. So you have to go there. It's like visiting Houses of Parliament in London. They have all these gigantic shelves filled with scrolls with the English history. I mean, the Vikings sort of burned a lot of their stuff back,
Oh, damn! The Vikings. God.
We tipped over
get
a
it
candle,
under control.
all right?
Right? Just
we tipped over a candle. I'm sorry.
Well, I thought, okay, I was thinking that it was done on purpose. I was like, all right, look, we'll give you the town. Could you just not set it on fire? I mean, there's some stuff. It's a value here for future generations. Okay. Man, that's fascinating stuff. It really is. So I guess my question to be like, what I wanted to ask you, this library, how big of a building are we talking about, and how many ancient books, like you were talking about, the book that went back to what was it, 1215 or something?
No, goes further back. Let me just see. I don't have the exact
And you
number.
say that the documents are so sensitive that they can't even scan them to put them online. I mean, that's
some of them. There are only 2 or 3 copies left. Danish library.
By the way, I went ahead and I looked up. The sun is only now going down there, and it's past 9 p.m. your time.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Nice.
Amazing.
Nice. It's nice.
So when time does the sun come up? Does it come up in an hour? What time is it going to come up?
3:30. 3.
Wait a minute. So the sun just went down at like 9:10 p.m. Because actually I looked it up and I think it was 9:15 or something when I Googled Denmark sunset. So you're saying that the sunrise is going to be when?
About 3:30.
Okay. Wow.
Well, in the summer, it never really gets dark. I mean, the sun goes down behind the horizon, but it doesn't get dark.
Incredible. I mean, you're way up there.
But then again, in the wintertime, ooh.
That's a hardy people up there, huh? So okay.
Now I've looked this up. The Royal Library is the official library of the sovereign. and it's an incredible diverse collection containing more than 200,000 items, including not only books and manuscripts, but also music, sound recorders, insignia, medals, and coins. There we are. And it's spread over two libraries. The one in Aarhus I was at, which is very big. I can send you a picture.
All right.
It's a giant tower of books, and the cellar is even looks bigger. Let me see pictures.
Well, I mean, this is all really cool stuff, and I hear a lot of movie plot lines developing in just what you've shared with us today. And how long have you been interested in this stuff, Benjamin?
Oh, for as long as I can remember.
That's awesome, man.
I just find
there we go. Oh my gosh, look at that. We had like a moment where we could see you there because it's kind of dark, getting dark there.
Well, we have to turn on the electrics. Damn it. Oh, I'm going to burn coal. It's your fault.
Burn, baby, burn. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome, man. Have we covered all the things here today, or it looks like looking at the old rundown? I think we got there.
Yeah, I don't have any more notes. Anything you want to ask? Anything the chat wants to ask?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free. And that's the thing. If you're watching on Twitter, which I'm not exaggerating when I say 99% of you are, look at that. If you want to go over
these notes,
if you want to go over to the YouTube channel, you can what's happening? You can ask us a question over there. That's where these chats are coming up for those that are curious. Let me just make sure here. I'm going to put the link up. I don't think you can. That's the thing about this. I don't think you can put a link, right? Am I wrong? You think I would know?
You can put a link.
Oh, you can? Hang on a second. Let's see here. So right there is today's show right now over on YouTube. So anyway, I don't know. Look at that. How professional does that look? There you go. Y'all just type that out and you'll get right to it. Wait. Sue has a question. Sue has a question. It's very important. What is for dinner over there in Denmark? Of course, it's
I already ate.
So, yeah, I was going to say you probably already ate. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time as always. We're also part of the Friday live stream. I hope people can go back and find that and look for the playlist over at youtube.com/at the mic. And we've got the Thursday and Friday live streams. Thursday is a deep dive, such as what we did today. Friday is the lighthearted live stream where we just sit around and watch animal videos and talk about.
I thought you may have had some.
Oh, for today? No, not quite. So you never did answer the Sue's question, though. What did you have for dinner? I mean,
slab of beef.
Slab of beef. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there it is. Okay, we got your answer. All right. Well, man, I appreciate it. Now, listen, if you have links or stuff that you want to make sure that people can access, please, post it underneath this post over on Twitter or x.com/@KeithMalinak or whatever the hell it is. I can't. Too many things to remember. But oh my gosh, wait a minute. You got any info about trolls? I don't want to put you on the spot here, but Micah68 is asking about trolls. You got any information? That might be a future episode if we have to.
Well, trolls is a uniquely Scandinavian myth. They're said to live in the mountains.
Uh-huh.
They are not called trolls in Old Norse. They're called jättar, which means giant.
So not under the bridge. They're like the side of the mountain, like that Netflix movie.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
They're giant. They're giant creatures, and they are technically humans and trolls were created at the same time in Norse mythology.
What?
Yeah.
My word.
So we are from the same stock. We share the same blood. Now they live in what is called Udgård, which is Outgard, if you can say that. The humans live in Midgard, and the gods live in Asgard. In Scandinavian mythology, there are 9 worlds, almost like the same number of planets we have. So they may have had something correct about that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, there's one thing binding all 9 worlds together. It's
Do they hate Christians? What is that?
No, not really. No,
Okay.
no, they became Christians pretty.
Meant to activate that one there. That's giant.
They actually became Christians very easy because because Vikings didn't believe in a circular world, like the Hindus. Everything goes around, comes around. No, it doesn't. Vikings believed in Judgment Day. They believe in Ragnarok. So they could understand Doomsday from the Christians. They saw Jesus as the god Balder. He's the god of light. Balder died, by the way, because gods can die in Norse mythology. Balder died, but he will come back at the end of time. So that's sort of a Christian myth they could understand. So it wasn't very hard. The only thing binding all 9 worlds together, however, was the Midgard world, who spanned the entire universe.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating, all this stuff. It truly is.
There are so many myths. There's so many myths.
Well, I appreciate you spending time with us today, man, from the other side of the world. Don't forget his Twitter handle. Everybody writing this down?
No.
Hold on. I'm finding it. I'm finding it. Hang on.
No,
because
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does matter. It matters to me because I want my guests to be searchable here. So here we go. I'm just gonna put here on the screen here. I'm gonna comment. I gotta just transcribe it here. Just bear with me because it's so easy to remember. Where did you get the string of numbers, man? Good grief! It was like a bot. All these numbers. I don't even know if
it's auto-generated. It's auto-generated.
Here we go. There's Benjamin's Twitter handle right there. At Jeffers. Is that right? 2953 4940. I mean, it just rolls right off the tongue, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to follow Benjamin at Jeffers 2953 4940.
Well, my damn tongue gone dry on me, Keith. So cheers to you, and
gotcha.
Thank you for listening. And this what the hell was they called again? Silver Broom. It's good stuff.
Okay.
Goes straight down the gullet.
I love it. All right.
Thank you for having patience enough to listen to my rambling.
Oh, of course, man. You're always a blast. You're just a great guy, and I love talking with you. Benjamin Flensborg at Jeffers 2953 4940. What is that? A phone number? What do we got there? Anyway, thank y'all so much for making time. We will see you a week from today when we talk about the central bank digital currency and so many developments on that front. Because you'll recall we had like Benjamin, we were actually going to talk back in June. We've had also had the CBDC scheduled as well, and so much has happened in that realm just in the last couple of months.
Oh God!
And so we have to talk a week from today with DeGare Bear, but don't forget we do the Friday Fun. The live stream is tomorrow with Chef Andrew Gruel and my coworker over there at Glimbeck's charity Mercury One. JP Decker. They will be my guests as we hang out tomorrow. Hope you will as well. And thanks for making time, everybody. I so much appreciate it, whether you're watching on youtube.com/atthemic or over at my Twitter channel. I'm grateful for all of you that spend some time hanging out whenever that happens. And I need to do another back patio thing, but it's over 100 degrees here. And so maybe I'll just find maybe I'll just, I could just hang out here. I mean, Keith, it's not like you're restricted to the patio, but I have a couple of things that I want to, I guess, I want to say get off my chest, but just some interesting things that I didn't have a home for, not on the Thursday thing or the Friday thing. And so I have them sitting off to the side. I'm like, let's just do a patio thing. So anyway, thanks so much, Ben, and all those that have hung out with us today. And we'll see you guys here tomorrow.
Give my best to your family and the kids, all right?
Will do, man. Thank you so much. Same to you.
Bye-bye. It's been a pleasure.